My name is Sylker. I'm from Brazil, and actually I'm studying at Kyushu University in Japan. And first of all, I want to thank you for coming, and thank you for the opportunity to share this small piece of my research with you today. I think this is the most important thing about research, is the opportunity to share with other people what you are studying in your research. And my research is, this is part of my mastering research I did a couple of years ago. And now I just started my PhD program. And this research was the starting point of my PhD studies now. So let's talk about this starting point. That it was a study with massive multiplayer online games Brazilian players. And the research is about massive multiplayer online games that is a merge of two different type of games. One is the video games, and other is the traditional RPG games. And I choose World of Warcraft because in Brazil it's one of the most popular games played actually. And I focused on the educational problem in Brazil, that is especially in Amazon region where I come from. We have a lot of internet spots like cyber cafes or LAN houses, but we don't have much schools. So people, especially kids, they usually go to cyber cafes instead of schools, but we cannot blame them because there's no schools. Some of them have to, especially in Amazon region, they have to walk, spend much time walking or through the rivers to reach the schools, and the internet is just in the corner of the house, so it's much easier to go to the internet than to school. And I started to think if it's possible to learn something from an MMORPG game. I mean, can you learn something from a game? This is, yes, we all know that, yes. Myself, I learned a lot of things from games, but the thing is, we have to prove it scientifically. We have to research it in order to make a statement and say, yes, you can learn it from MMORPG, and maybe do something about this. There's some data from the methods I used, and the main question was this: have you learned anything interesting with the game World of Warcraft? I used an inductive method, qualitative and quantitative approach, and through an online questionnaire. And the population was 146 players, and through an accidental non-probability sample. The main thing about this online questionnaire is that it was took in two different ways. One was inside the cyber cafes with people, directly with people, and the other was took inside the game. It was most difficult. This guy here saying hello to you is my avatar, Aberforth, inside the World of Warcraft game. He's a mage, 85 level mage, and he was the researcher inside the game. I can point this like this. He was the researcher. I had to approach to the other players and ask them, can you answer some questions for our research? And it was very difficult because people usually don't trust other players in the virtual world because of some case of hackers and something like that. I myself had my account stolen a couple of times. And yeah, so people usually don't trust other players inside the game. So when you approach and say, I want to ask you a few questions, do you have some time for me? And people usually, no, thanks, I'm doing something else now. So it was difficult, but it was interesting from the point of view of method. Because I think researchers have to start how to develop new methods to apply inside virtual worlds. Because sometimes the methods in the physical world doesn't apply to a virtual world. Well, the first part of research, I had to identify which game is most popular. And in Manaus, the city of Amazon, actually the capital of Amazon, where I come from. And the World of Warcraft is the most popular game among the MMORPG. Also Lineage, but Lineage, especially in Brazil, most of people play in, how can I say, non-official servers. That means pirate servers or things like that. So I prefer not to make the research inside those environments. And World of Warcraft, most of players use the Blizzard official servers, what is more important for me and the research and the reliability of research, something like that. And so for this reason, I chose World of Warcraft to apply the research. The first question, and maybe one of the most important questions, is, have you learned anything in the game of World of Warcraft? And 98% answered yes, I have learned something. There's a list in my research about things that people have learned. Most of them have learned another language. For instance, English. Yes, English schools in Brazil are really, really expensive. And for those people, yeah, and boring. So for people who are playing and learning, and they have, in an MMORPG, you have a lot of people playing together from many parts of the world. So you have to communicate. You have to speak another language, not only English, and you have to learn how to communicate. And this is one important aspect of the game. The second, not exactly, but just to know about the population is about male and female. Of course, actually, most of players are men, but we know that this scenario is changing around the world, but still maybe we need some time more to change it. And are you attending to the school? 71% answered that they are attending to school. But the thing is, sometimes it's difficult to go to school. And even if a kid is attending to school, he finds difficult to reach the school, especially in Amazon region and other region in Brazil. There are just few schools, and you have to walk or using other means of transportation to get to the school. And do your parents encourage you to attend the school? And 35% answered no, they don't. And almost 50% answered that they don't care if I go to school or not, which is something concerning, I mean, yes. And just 16% answered yes, they encouraged me to go to school. And which activity do you most do at cyber cafes? And almost 80% answered play games. But it's obviously, when you enter in a cyber cafe and you look around you, you see most of kids playing, and most of them playing online games or MMO games, and just few of them studying or doing something related to academic research. So, but which activity do you prefer? And 75% prefer playing the game instead of studying, which is, I mean, of course, a game is more attractive to young people and sometimes to old people too than traditional school class. Most of children, at least in Brazil, they think that a class is boring. The lessons are boring. And they harder to go to play a game during many hours than go to a school. So how can we think about changing the scenario? Would you like to study with MMORPG? Almost 7% answered yes. I would like to learn, I would like to study using MMORPG system or game. Well, I had some conclusions about those questions and answers. That is, World of Warcraft is a game that have some features, like, for example, synchronous virtual world, and is also an immersive virtual world. I have compared this World of Warcraft game with the online education system called Moodle. It's a virtual learning environment, and I found that the problem with Moodle is it's not synchronous, it's not immersive. So most of people in Brazil, the online education system are growing. Actually, the distance learning is becoming a very, very popular model of learning system in Brazil. But the problem is when a person go to the Moodle, they want to do the activity quickly as possible and exit the system. But it's different with a game. When a person is playing a game, they don't want to leave the game. They want to stay there many hours, especially MMORPGs. Most of kids spend many hours a day in the game. So this is a very big difference between MMORPG game and a traditional virtual learning environment. And World of Warcraft have social interactions, what is important in the learning process. For example, when you are learning, you must interact with other people, with other students, in order to construct the knowledge that it will be bound to you. So some games, some offline games, doesn't offer to you the possibility to interact with other people, not only the NPCs, not only the machine, but other people playing through avatars. And this is important to construct the knowledge in a sense of the constructive theory of education. And because of those features, I could conclude that World of Warcraft, as other MMORPG, can promote learning in players. So the answer for the research question was positive. The answer was yes, you can learn something. Not only because the game is offering data to you, but because you are interacting with other people, and because the game itself is synchronous and immersive. And because of all those features, we can answer the question positively. We can answer yes, it's possible to learn through an MMORPG. And now I'm going to the next steps, what means my PhD program that I started to develop a prototype of a MMORPG game with educational purpose. So first, I want to formulate a model of synchronous virtual learning environment, which means combine the features of World of Warcraft and other MMORPG games with traditional virtual learning environments, such as Moodle, for instance. And then develop a functional prototype with an example class. And then test this prototype with basic educational students. So we can compare the tests. For example, we can test school children that use the game and school children that doesn't use the game and compare the results. So we will know if the prototype is working or not, according to the features of the MMORPG games or the features of traditional virtual learning environments combined together. Thank you very much for your attention. There's some contacts you can be in touch with me later. Thank you very much.